At 34, Captain Sarah Whitfield had what she thought was the perfect life. After 10 years of serving in the Royal Air Force, she had quietly transitioned into commercial aviation. Flying passengers from London to New York, or Dubai to Sydney, was nothing like the adrenaline of flying tornadoes at supersonic speeds, but it gave her what she wanted most: peace, stability, and anonymity. She wore the crisp Navy uniform, smiled at passengers, and blended into the ordinary world. None of them knew she had once been one of the most feared and respected fighter pilots in NATO's Top Gun program. She preferred it that way. On a chilly autumn morning, she was in command of Flight 432, bound for JFK with 169 passengers aboard. Everything was routine: pre-flight checks, clearances, the takeoff. But halfway across the Atlantic, her first officer's eyes widened at the sudden flashing warning lights across the cockpit. The left engine had stalled, then the right. Alarms shrieked. The entire Airbus A330 shuddered violently. They were losing altitude fast. Sarah's calm voice cut through the chaos. Aviate, navigate, communicate. Keep her steady. The cabin behind them erupted in panic as oxygen masks deployed. The crew shouted instructions. At 35,000 feet, with both engines failing, Flight 432 was essentially a gliding metal coffin. Her first officer, Mark, was frozen. We can't make it to land. We're too far from anywhere." Sarah's eyes were steady, scanning the controls, then the radar. She knew the Atlantic like the back of her hand. There was a disused NATO airstrip in Iceland, barely within gliding distance if the winds were on their side. But more alarming than the engine failure was what appeared on her radar: two fast-moving aircraft approaching from the north. They weren't commercial planes. F-22 Raptors, Sarah muttered. Mark gaped. "What are American fighters doing here?" "They're here for us," she replied grimly. The Raptors locked onto her transponder, their sharp silhouettes darting closer. Over the comms came a curt American voice: "Unidentified Airbus 432, you are entering restricted airspace. Identify yourself immediately." Sarah grabbed the radio. "This is Captain Sarah Whitfield of Flight 432, en route to JFK, experiencing dual engine failure. We are gliding, repeat, gliding, with 169 souls on board." There was a long silence. Then the voice crackled back, this time tinged with disbelief. "Whitfield? As in Viper 1? Mark stared at her. "Viper 1? What the hell is he talking about?" Sarah didn't answer. She was busy calculating descent rates, angles, and glide ratios. The Raptors broke formation, one flanking left, the other right, as though escorting them. "Captain Whitfield," the American voice returned, now respectful. "We didn't know it was you. Orders are changing. Hold course, we'll clear the skies for you." Her past was no longer a secret. Once upon a time, Viper 1 had been her callsign in NATO's most elite squadron. She'd flown combat missions no one spoke about, dogfights that never made the news, and had once outmaneuvered 6 enemy jets in a single sortie. Her legend had lived on, even if she had buried it. "Mark," she said, her voice firm, "set course 030. Iceland. That's our only chance." "But the glide." "I said 030. The Airbus groaned, descending like a wounded bird. Every minute they lost thousands of feet. The Raptors coordinated above, relaying wind conditions, clearing civilian traffic, and guiding them through invisible corridors of airspace. It felt like old times, except this time, her cockpit wasn't loaded with missiles, and her responsibility wasn't a wingman. It was 169 civilians, including children. In the cabin, passengers wept and prayed. One flight attendant whispered to a terrified boy, "Don't worry. Our captain will get us through." Sarah's hands moved with surgical precision, coaxing every ounce of lift from the massive wings. The Atlantic roared beneath them. The calculations said they'd come up short of the runway, but calculations weren't destiny. Not with her. At 5,000 feet, the first officer finally found his voice. "We're not gonna make it." Sarah's jaw tightened. "Watch me." She angled the nose, trading speed for distance, feeling the aircraft's every shudder through her fingertips. The airstrip loomed ahead, cracked concrete surrounded by barren tundra. Emergency crews scrambled into position, alerted by the Raptors. The plane clipped the runway threshold, landing gear groaning under the brutal weight. Tires screamed. The fuselage rattled. But the bird stayed down. She slammed the brakes, reversed what little thrust they had left, and brought the Airbus to a stop just yards before the runway ended. Silence filled the cabin for a moment, then erupted into thunderous applause, sobs, and cheers. Sarah leaned back, exhaling only now. For the first time in hours, her hands trembled. The Raptors swooped low overhead in salute before banking away. Over the comms, the American voice came one last time, reverent. "Still Viper 1. Always Viper 1. Hell of a save, Captain." When the passengers finally disembarked, many stopped to embrace her, tears streaming. The boy from earlier looked up at her with wide eyes. "You're a hero," he whispered. But Sarah just smiled softly. "No, sweetheart. I'm just a pilot doing her job." Later, in the quiet of the Icelandic terminal, officials tried to ask her about her past. Headlines had already begun. Commercial pilot revealed as former Top Gun ace after saving 169 lives. She deflected their questions, preferring the anonymity she once had. But deep down, she knew something had changed. Her secret was out. Sarah Whitfield, once just another face in the cockpit, had become something more again, a reminder that heroes sometimes walk among us, unnoticed, until the skies call them back.